Hello, everybody. I'm Mariano Det Garcia Rodriguez, and I'm gonna be talking about the new law called Mexico Bold Move Against Child Obesity. The new law bans junk food in schools, and why I'm completely agree with this law and needs to be implemented as soon as possible with the aspects that I'm gonna talk about later. If we are going to talk about this law, first I need to introduce you a little bit about it. In, in Spanish, it's called Ley General de Alimentación Adecuada y Sostenida, or we can say as general lay, like general law of adequate and sustainability alimentation. As Joey saw the name, what is going on with this law? Why is so polemic? Well, in March 29 of this year, uh, 2025, the actual Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, implemented this law that introduces a restriction, this is important, a restriction of the sale of junk food on public and private schools of all levels. Well, as a private school, we also need to follow this law. Doesn't matter if it's elementary, kindergarten, or the highest level of education that is university, this law in Mexico is going to be implemented. This initiative aims to combat high levels of country-disturbed obesity crisis. If we talk about crisis, we need to think about how in Latin America, in Latin America, we're the first country with more childhood obesity. We have this nickname, and it's kind of interesting because, like, globally, we are high, the second high obesity crisis country. The first one is United States, that is our neighbor. This led to talk about us as a culture and how the the American industrialization it affects us as a culture and the way we eat. But going on with the law here are three main aspects that I need to introduce you for you to understand what talk about this law. Well, the first one and the more polemic around the students is the prohibi- prohibi- prohibition the prohibition of junk food sales. All schools are mandatory to cease the sale of products with high levels of sugar, salt, or fats. Also, if we're talking about um, me- ha- another law that established our used to be president uh, Lopez Obrador is that all the packaged food needs to have like a special sticker that tells you that has excess of salt, excess of sugar, excess of fat, etc. So it's more easy to us to see how junk food has these levels. We're not blind. Personally, I think we're not blind. We're still eating these products. Doesn't matter if they have that big stickers that are like this of big, in and also covers most of the packaging. But it's something that I need to tell you. This these items like sugar drinks, chips, or another processed snacks are no longer permitted. And as I just said, these snacks here in Mexico, like before the pandemic or during the pandemic, they start having these big stickers that tell us how many excess of any damaging item has. And obviously, this was the first step of this like campaign for combat the obesity. But of course, we don't care about it. The second aspect that I want to talk about is the mandatory water access. All institutions must provide free access to drinking water for students. That keep in mind these aspects because we're going to consider it later on. Also, that enforcement penalties. All the schools that fail in comply with these regulations face finances ranging from one for 545 pesos to 5,450 pesos. That if we compare it are to $25 to like to like $25 to 20 to $2,500 are around it. With these penalties, though, the respect offenses, for example, if I start selling gummies, well, the cafeteria starts selling gummies. This is the example that I'm gonna give. If the cafeteria start selling gummies another time because the numbers start to decrease, they're gonna face some finances. But also, like I just said, there are some considerations about this law. First, the vendor complice. Many schools have vendors inside the school, like the students that they can sell junk food, smoking that between the students. Like my used to be example that I was going to give. I can start selling gummies in the school. I don't know for whatever reason, but also I'm doing against this law, and it's something that Sheinbaum, our president, needs to consider about it because it's not only restricting the food on the cafeteria, it's also between the students, and this needs to be focused more on how they can deal with this because students, like you can know, they can start selling inside, like, oh, I can sell you a brownie for 20 pesos, or I can sell you something. And this is a complete, I'm not going to say mess, but but it's something that we need to consider about it. Also, the infrastructure limitation, not all the public schools, and we can, and you as as a teacher you can see, are they have lack of adequate facilities such as the drinking fountains that I was telling you that was to be one of the mandatory aspects of a law. And also it's difficult to implement respective law because it's difficult to sell, I don't know, cucumber or sell salads. It's going to be more difficult. Also, something that I want to talk about is the cultural preferences. we're mexican we're mexican. Our cultural mm, diet is based on some food. If we don't see it like, it's difficult to see it like this, but if we start thinking, one of main uh our characteristic food are tacos. And tacos, sometimes if we can do tacos in our home, it's easy, but let me be honest, most of the time that we eat tacos, flautas, chilaquiles, or any Mexican traditional food, is on the we eat it on the street, is more street food. And this is and like my mom says, the more fat it has, the best flavor is gonna have for your tongue. And these cultural aspects are how the students were accustomed to eat homemade Mexican food like quesadillas, chilaquiles, but this is a big step, like a big change for our young daily food diet. And we need to think about it. Like, we cannot do so drastic this change. We need to be a step by step because Mexican food, if we are honest, is a little bit not too healthy for ourselves. And the way we do it is worse. So now why I think this is the best idea for our lovely Mexico. Well, this measure collectives aim at improvement of public health and support local economies and insurance environmental sustainability. And first aspect that I want to talk about it, well, to supplement my argument is that protect the right to healthy food. The law ensures the human rights of nutrition, sufficiency, and quality of food, prioritizing the health improvement of protection. Water access and children's wealth, being all the food related policies. A second one, we food provides sovereignty and sustainability. It encourages local and sustainability food productions aimed to reduce the food waste and straining Mexico's self-sufficiency and food security. And the last one, the transparency with consumers awareness. This one I think that is the best one because because now we're improving the requirements of food and dissociating the information of products, empowering the consumers to choose informed choices. As conclusion, Mexico new food law is a smart move to protect public health and boost the sustainable local food systems and empowers consumers laying the, fun- the fountain for a healthy and more self-regulating nation. Thank you for your attention. That's everything for my part. I I swear you enjoy this presentation.